The Resilience Across Borders podcast is intended for education, support, and inspiration. I am not a psychologist or a medical doctor and do not offer any professional, medical, or health advice. If you are dealing with or suffering from any psychological or medical conditions, please seek help from a qualified health professional. Hello and welcome back to Resilience Across Borders podcast. I am your host, Rachid. In today's episode, we will talk about one of the most important decisions you will ever make, and that will affect the quality, the direction, and success, stability, and many important things of your life, among other considerations. And that is what we're talking about is choosing your perfect partner. With that in mind, and knowing this can be complicated, confusing, and many other confounding things. So it's easy to be swept up in a new, different, or overwhelming emotions to end up not realizing what we are getting into and how we got there. So we will bring up some essential considerations and questions to ask oneself and to ask maybe the partner and maybe to both of you to reflect on and so on. Because again, selecting a romantic or life partner is one of the most significant decisions you'll ever make. The person you choose to spend your life with can greatly influence your happiness, your personal growth, and overall well-being. So to ensure that you make a choice that aligns with your values and goals, it is crucial to consider various factors and ask essential questions. We'll explore the key considerations and questions to help guide you in selecting the ideal romantic or life partner. This is not exhaustive. This is not the whole thing. But if we do nothing else, but to make you actually be present in that process and to pause and to think, okay, is this really what I want? And so on and so forth, instead of just jumping and then just going for it and not really thinking about it until you go in deep and you realize it is not really what you want, or the big problems or incompatibilities rear their heads and you're like, oh shoot. So let's start by some self-reflection, right? That's a good starting point. Before diving into considerations for a potential partner, it's important to engage in self-reflection. That is understanding your own values, your own goals and priorities. This is fundamental to finding someone who complements your life. And you can start by asking yourself, what are my long-term life goals? What values are most important to me in a partner? What qualities do I appreciate in myself? And what am I looking for in a partner? After you do that, then think about this really, take your time, reflect on it, do what you write it down, type it up, whatever, reflect on it, but actually reflect on it. This is not surface stuff. This is deep stuff. Then you can get into shared values and goals. A strong foundation for a lasting relationship is built on shared values and goals. Consider, for example, consider the following questions. You can ask about you and with your partner in mind. Do we have similar beliefs and values? This is different from being same or trying to melt into each other. You obviously can have your personality, you can have your different things, and even sometimes hobbies. But you have to have some for the big stuff, the cornerstones, the big foundations, the big issues. You have to have some kind of similar beliefs on these big values. Otherwise, it becomes really, every day becomes a big challenge. So this is different from being the same. And it's just making sure you are not trying to join what can't be joined. So also you can ask, are our long-term goals and aspirations compatible? Is this person going to be a propeller or an anchor? Are they going to support your goals, or are they going to keep holding you back because of their, inner work that they never did, or their insecurities, or whatever the case may be. So it's important to think, okay, are they going to be an engine or an anchor? Also, you can think, how do we handle differences in opinion or differences in values? This can be big stuff like politics, religion, and so on and so forth. There are some big things that you need to really consider and think about. You don't want any big surprises in there. where you start really button heads every day, or even start losing respect for each other, or disrespecting each other, and so on and so forth. And of course, think about communication styles. Effective communication is a cornerstone of any successful relationship. I mean, that includes even work relationships, includes things, but it's even more important in the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. So understanding how you and your potential partner communicate is crucial. Some things you can ask is, how do we handle disagreements and conflicts, right? Are you listening to each other? Do you repair? Or is it just like, boom, it's just blow up? And so, are we comfortable discussing our needs and expectations openly? Do we hold space for each other? Can we bring our needs and our concerns to the discussion without it turning into a big blow up that is productive or hurtful, and so on and so forth? Do we actively listen to and understand each other? Is it a safe space for both of you to have those types of discussions and communications? So it's important to feel heard and understood. Also, important to pay attention to emotional compatibility. We're emotional beings. A lot of our decisions stem from our emotions, and whether we want to admit it or not. So emotional compatibility involves understanding and supporting each other's emotional needs. Quality of emotion determines quality of life, right? So explore the following questions. How do we handle each other's emotions, both positive and negative? Are our emotional responses compatible? Do we feel secure and supported in the relationship? Also, consider lifestyle compatibility. Consideration of lifestyle factors is essential for long-term compatibility. You can ask yourself, how do we approach issues such as work-life balance? Our lifestyles, or your lifestyles and daily routines, compatible? How do we navigate differences in hobbies and interests? There's all kinds of different models that work for people. Some people like to do everything together. They have the same types of sports that they like to do, or activities, whether it's bowling, golfing, tennis, or they both enjoy nightlife or dining out, or whatever. They're both foodies. Some people like to have a little bit of this and a little bit of that. They have some things that they do separately with their friends and whatnot, and they have things they come together for, so that they find that balance. I've seen all kinds of models of different relationships that work perfectly, but again, you have to see what works for the two of you. Because some people like to do everything together, and some people actually need their separate time, and it works perfectly for them. But you have to be aware of this thing. So you don't want this to be one of these big surprises where one wants that independence, a little bit of that time apart, and the other one is clingy or just wants to be together the whole time, to kind of merge everything together. So you need to talk about these things. Another big one that can be a source of big issues if not understood, addressed, and handled properly is financial compatibility. So money matters can be a source of tension in relationships. It's important to discuss financial compatibility openly. Example, what are our individual financial habits and attitudes? What do we like to spend money on, and how do we like to spend it? What is our wants, our needs, and so on and so forth? Where are we in there? How do we want to handle it? How do we plan to handle joint finances and financial goals? We want to merge accounts. We want to have separate accounts. We have one account together for utilities and fixed expenses and joint expenses. How do we want to do that? You have to get on the same page. You don't want to find out later that you're pulling in different directions, right? And are your spending and saving habits aligned? And of course, family and social dynamics are important. So understanding each other's relationships with family and friends is crucial. Starting points for discussion include asking, how do we navigate relationships with our respective families? What role do we envision for our families in our lives? How do we balance time spent with family and friends? What are the boundaries there? What are you okay with? What am I okay with? Even including like what you discuss in terms of relationship with others, in terms of your relationship between the two of you, what stays within the relationship or what gets discussed with others outside of that. And what kind of friends? Are our friends, friends that are going to be just friends of both of us? Or you're going to have your friends and I'm going to have my friends and then we're going to have friends together? All of these things are worth looking into. So again, choosing a romantic or life partner is a significant decision. I cannot emphasize this enough from experience. That requires careful consideration. By reflecting on your own values and asking pertinent questions, you can better understand what you need in a partner and build a strong foundation for a fulfilling and lasting relationship. Remember, open communication, shared values, and emotional compatibility are key factors in finding the perfect match for your journey through life together. As always, thank you for tuning into the Resilience Across Borders podcast. If you are enjoying this podcast and finding it helpful to you, please let us know so we can continue to make more episodes about these topics. You can do that by leaving a review, subscribing where you can, or leaving a comment, or sharing with others, or forwarding to those who need to hear it. Remember to be kind to yourself and others and stay resilient.